Hola, Wizzy Wizards, and welcome back to the pursuit of happiness with me, Pigtail Gurl, your friend and fellow traveller. I hope you're all well and really got your popcorn ready, because it's just go, 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 go right now. And as you can see, I'm feeling kind of positive again. I have no gloom. If you are looking for gloom, you have come to the wrong establishment, sir. I have no gloom for you. I'm done with doom and I'm done with gloom. You'll have to excuse me if I'm enjoying myself a little bit and looking forward to watching things play out. Now, I'm not saying it's all going to be easy, and of course there is a lot of chaos and there's going to be one thing after another, really now. One thing after another. And you know, when there's one thing after another, it's a battle energy. It's like the waves crashing on the rocks. It's that kind of energy, but it's a needed energy. And why I'm so excited is because, you know, if you follow my work, the OWOL group, the Operation Warriors of Light group, we re-established the protective force field for Earth in October last year, I believe it went up. And if you've been following our work on the Time Chronicles and Starfire Tour's posts in the Telegram group or on Facebook, you'll be seeing how much timeline edit action has been going on right now in the Schumann's resonance chart. If you've been following along, you'll now know how to read that Schumann's resonance chart correctly, unlike 98% of the people out there in internet land doing shows on it. Because, I mean, we don't just talk nonsense in our group. We always give you not only tools to test it yourself, but ways to read it, ways to test it out. We give you evidence. You know, we don't ever just give you things that we don't try to back up with evidence around the claims. That's what Starfire Tour is all about, and that's what I'm all about. I like to see some meat and bones, you know, to it. And like I always say, I like to do things that work. I like the truth that's real. I want to, you know, I come from a past where I have been very prone to delusional ways of thinking. You know, if you know me and you've heard my story a bit, you know, my past wasn't easy, like most of us who are on missions in this lifetime. You know, our paths aren't easy because they're not supposed to be easy, because easy doesn't usually forge men or women of great renown. They don't get forged in easy, so your life is not meant to be easy. But due to my story, my beautiful blessed story truly, that got me to where I am, but it left me without so much of the right brain. No, sorry, not so much of the left brain. I was very right-brained and not so much left-brained, because I was actually rejecting the left brain due to my family dynamics and what was going on in my story. So there was all this rejecting of certain aspects of thinking, of the education system, and I was rejecting a lot of things in my childhood, and this left me a bit delusional. And even though I was still having this amazing life, and you know, I wasn't an idiot, I never had a very low IQ, I would say. You know, I wasn't a genius or anything, but you know, I wasn't stupid, but I wasn't using my left brain, so I was very delusional. And it was easy for me to then get hooked into things that were sort of very fanciful, and without much grounding in that left brain, I wasn't able to discern correctly. So I know how it feels to be the space cadet as well, without the base chakra and the sacral chakra, you know, fully rooted down there and fully grounded as well. You become that space cadet. You don't fit in here. You're ungrounded, and that discernment just drizzles away, right? And like I said in another video about discernment, you never think about yourself that you don't have bad discernment. Most people assume they have good ones. It takes some wisdom. That's the first step of wisdom, is to realize where you are lacking, right? This to me is what wisdom wisdom isn't being perfect and never making any mistakes. The wisdom comes from being able to look at yourself and understand where you are lacking. Because then when you have the wisdom to do that, you can correct yourself. Right? If you don't have the wisdom to look at where you're lacking, you won't be able to correct yourself. And of course, the who I was back then, she was still wonderful and lovely, and it was a part of who I was. And on the path, there was nothing bad or wrong. There's no judgment on what I was thinking or doing back then. It was what it was. It got me to where I am now. But at the same time, you know, I can see where I was so out of balance back then. So who you see now is kind of a product of a lot of work that was done along the way to get my right and left brain working to the point where I wouldn't be anyone's fool. I wouldn't fall for silliness and silly sigh of the ops type things, you know, going around that suck you in. And if you don't have fully right left brain, you know, connection, and not only just connection but also energy there, you know, they've got to have ability to function correctly. If you don't have that and have all your chakras in alignment, then you don't discern correctly. This is why in our groups with Starfire Tour, we like to always teach you how to discern, give you tools, how to balance your tools up, you know, your toolbox. That's more maybe me here on my channel, but you know, together, me and Starfire, we like to try to empower people. That's why me and her get along and we gel, because we try to give you tools, not just say this is what the Schumann's resonance chart is. Here's the tools as well, so you can then understand and learn to read it yourself. You see what I'm saying? It's a difference. It's that teach a man to fish, and they will fish for a lifetime. It's not about being right or the best or anything. It's just about giving people tools so they can get facts and truth for themselves and be able to discern correctly. It's very important. You know, there's a lot of space cadets out there because many of us have had very ungrounded lives. And we've come from, you know, sad stories. And for a lot of people who will be watching this video, that will be you, right? So you don't come out of those situations balanced. You know, balance takes work. And that's the work that you either do or you don't do. So on that, looking at the world today, I discern, and I have been discerning that there's a lot of ET action going on. That's what I've been sensing. I've been sensing ET action going on. I've received visions of the neg ETs potentially fleeing this earth due to the increase in this force field that OWOL people built. I've been shown that in my visions lately when I was viewing the sphere. I suddenly saw all these little pods just going pew pew, like sort of different areas of the earth, because I'm out in space viewing it. I could see them all leaving. Then I heard the voice. The negative ETs are leaving, will flee soon. Actually, not leaving, they used the word flee. That was the word that I was told. I don't know who told me that, but I'm hoping now that my discernment and all my bits are working, that when I'm hearing voices, they're good voices. I've done enough protection and releasing and contract ending to make sure the only voices I'm hearing in my head are the ones that I want to be there, right? And if you go back through my channel, years, you can find so much stuff I did. I even sent all angels away. I did this thing like when I was in my dark night of my soul. If you weren't back there with me then, sorry, I'm shuffling these, I'm going to pull a card, but I have to tell you this story. So I was getting very paranoid, and I wasn't very well at the time. I hadn't been sleeping for years. I started this channel during that time as a sort of focus to try to, you know, I was also being drawn in my destiny because God was also saying to me, do a YouTube channel. But at the same time, I was kind of on this on a path of needing healing at that time, but so tired and busy with my young child that I was unable to receive it. So I got a bit down. I'd had a lot of negative experiences coming from the old family during that time too, and people around me had let me down. So I wanted to just get rid of all angels, all everything. I didn't want anything interfering with me. I didn't know what was up or down anymore. I was so confused. I just kicked everyone out. And I spent days clearing and completely retracting any and all permissions for any guides or angels whatsoever. So I went through that stage. I banished everything and everyone. I was all alone. Right, I was all alone. And then after a while, you know, that was good for then. That's what I needed to do in that moment. Then after a while, I started to realise that I remembered that I'd had my life saved by an angel when I was in Thailand. So I remembered that, and I sat and I thought about that. And then I remembered another time when an angel had helped me and appeared to me. And I remembered that. So then I remembered, well, there must be good angels then. They can't all be bad. It's not all a trick. You know, there are some that can trust. And then I started hearing a voice saying, yeah, well, you know, it's like this. It's like everywhere you look, there's some things that will go towards the light and some things that go towards the negative. You know, the positive or the negative polarity on all levels. So then I felt to invite them back in, but this time it was on my terms. I was only inviting back specific energies that were going to do this for me. And any other ones that weren't for the highest good, working for the most highest good for all win-win situation, whatever it was I was wanting, they weren't allowed to come back in. So then I invited in those ones, and they've been very close to me ever since. And I was sort of like having to say to them, oh God, sorry dudes, I booted you out. So many times in my life, this group that I work with have saved my ass For me to banish them all, they must have just been sitting there going, oh God, look, here she goes. We're just going to have to let her go through it. Just let her ride this one out, guys. She's going full retard on us. But, you know, yeah, I do. I've been through those, like, really stages where I've just had to just let everything go. Strip it all bare. You know, like a complete reboot. Complete reboot stage. And, but since then, I've built back up to working with these angels, ETs, guides, friends, ancestors, you know, and to be honest, my life is much fuller with them. So if you would like to know any about how I did any of that, you can go back through the channel, but that is going to be a lot of viewing. You'll have to look at cancelling contracts. I have some on that, and oh yeah, lots of stories. But let me go on again. The ETs, I feel like the good guys, there's some warriors of light. I feel like there's something going on with the ETs. I feel like there's good guys versus bad guys going on. And perhaps this is going to increase. And the fact the force field is back there now, the negatives aren't getting the food and that energy source the way they used to. And maybe if they see that the writing's on the wall and the McDonald's drive-through is closed, you know, they might look elsewhere. And they might flee, indeed, like that vision I had been shown. That could come to pass. It said soon. I felt like it was something that, you know, what is soon? Soon is relative. In the next 6 months, soon. In the next 3 months, some people count it. In the next year, could be soon. Seeing I've been waiting since 1999 for the shift to really hit the fan. What is soon? But I felt like it was soon. That was the word I heard, soon. So and then I pulled a card and it said to me, bullseye, your intuition is 100% spot on. So I did get that card as a confirmation as well after I had that thought. And then I saw that on Earth at the same time, not only is this energy of this battle concluding, that's a long going battle going on here, that sort of resurrecting and coming to some conclusion, but also on the Earth plane with all these timeline edits, so many fascinating things are already beginning to drop. And it is going to be like in the fairgrounds. You know when you put the coins in that machine and it pushes them and you wait for it to push and then they all fall down? It's, you know, like you've been putting the coins in, putting the coins, waiting, and just nothing's dropping. Finally you put that coin in and loads of stuff drops down. It's a bit like that right now, what we're going to be experiencing in May, because of these massive, huge, never seen before timeline payloads and payoffs that we've had anchored in. That means lots of new information of this positive timeline that we're trying to get ourselves back onto, the non-bizarro world timeline, the non-inverted timeline. You know, we want to get onto the divine timeline, the positive timeline, the sustainable timeline, back onto that one. So it's anchoring in elements to get us back into that sort of timeline for us. That's all the core matrix is really doing. And again, it doesn't care about who's who and what people think about, what our ideologies are. It uses whoever it can use, like the Elon Musks, right? Like the Trumps. It just uses what it can use. It does what it can with what it's got, like we all try to do too, because as above, so below. Yes or no, my dears? Right, I have been shuffling long enough. So the battle wages on, but I see a victory on the cards. I do. Interesting. This is just a very interesting symbology card. I feel like it's talking about, it's called the Many Masks card. Look at that. The Many Masks. How interesting. And it looks sort of like a white knight. Can you see that? How it looks like a white knight in chainmail. Now, very interesting with the masks and what that's been. It means many things at this time, doesn't it? Masks to us. Many layers to that archetype. These are brand new cards. Let me see what this message is. The Many Masks, the authentic self, energizing internal allies, a consciousness shift. When I read that, internal allies, I'm already thinking about the inner trinity that I've been drawn to work with recently, and how getting that internal self, that family in yourself in balance, how that is just hooking you straight into that divine family power. Trinity power is it's the power of creation. The Trinity power is the power of creation. It's the 3, the 6, the 9. They're all related to the Trinity, right? The 3, the 6, the 9, the 1, the 1, the 1, right? It's all connected. So the internal allies, a consciousness shift. We live in a world where everyone we see wears a mask. We wear these masks to cover up and protect who we really are. Yeah. We learn to do so because we've been conditioned to try to appear a certain way to fit into society. Masks allow us to belong, so we remain within the confines of what is expected. Some of us do. Masks are not inherently bad. Rather, they provide context and structure for our personalities and soul's expressions. Some of us might believe that a particular mask, fixed and hardened onto us, is our permanent face. We forget that we are living beings with a multitude of faces, enabling us to experience a fuller, more vibrant world. And that was another part of the vision I was having the other day, how important it is right now to remove paranoia from the third eye, because paranoia in the third eye really affects every thought pattern as well you have. And I just made a subliminal for paranoid personality disorder on my other channel, Subliminal Junkie. And even if you don't have that disorder, you could still use that because it's just clearing all fears, phobias and paranoia, working on that third eye, because paranoid personality disorder is just an extreme version of an illness. It's a third eye illness. Paranoia is an illness of the third eye. Third eye is linked to mental issues, mental illness, and paranoia when it's out of balance. So also you can't discern when you're paranoid. So my dears, as I always like to give you the tools, if you go to Subliminal Junkie, the paranoid personality disorder one can also just be used excuse me, if you're not that severe but you still want to clean out the third eye of all the paranoia. And it's also going to activate the crown chakra. It's going to do a lovely opening on the heart. So you can definitely benefit from that healing if that sounds like you. If you feel like you're nervous, paranoid, anxious, looking around, feel like you're being, everything's doom and gloom on you, because paranoia takes you into that doom and gloom. You see, when you're not paranoid and you're living in the divine family, you're living in joyland, you're living in bliss, because you know you're in that embrace of the creative energies and forces of the universe, right? That which makes the universe, that's what you're connected with. Not the DMA, which is, it's not the same thing, is it? Not the same thing at all. So, right, so your authentic essence doesn't want to be constrained by others' expectations anymore. Now is the time to strip away the mask you've accepted and discover who you really are. A new self is emerging, phoenix power. And your perceptions change as you adopt new ways of being. Right now, it's really important to allow yourself to experiment, to experience the world in all its myriad potentials and possibilities. Try on different masks and let yourself be fluid and curious. How will you know what you love and what you resonate with if you don't take off the mask you've always worn and test drive some new ones? Your authentic essence will never change. It will only express itself differently through these optional selves. It's a bit like when I changed my Facebook profile name on Facebook. You go from Grace Hope to Electrify, and it does feel a little different. The name changes feel a little different. I try on a little different energy. Through trial and error, you discover more and more about who you want to become. What would it feel like to explore this side of you, the magical wizard side of you? Anything is possible if you're willing to open up to your potential. You truly can move beyond the barriers that society has set, using your imagination and step into your magic. I love it. So my dears, I'm going to love you and leave you on that lovely message. Take what you will from it. And I will see you on the next episode of The Pursuit of Happiness. One love.